First time sitting all day.
Action.
Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Josh. Sarah is our lovely camera lady. So I'm going to give you a walkthrough of the one-person tent that I've been using because I had quite a lot of questions about it through the year I've had it. It's a Vango Project Hydrogen F10. It is their like flagship single person tent, which although it's not specifically marketed as a bike packing or bike touring tent, it is perfect for that. And primarily because the air beam it uses, there's no tent poles, it's just an air beam. You can pump it up with a bike pump, which doesn't mean it's just meant for bike packers, but it's really suited to it because you can fold it up in any which way, shape or form. Fits into bags really light. It goes into a super tiny size, which I'll show you now. So although it's not specifically marketed as a bike packing tent, it's pretty much perfect for it. Right, so I've had the tent for about a year, a little bit over a year, or actually almost exactly a year. I think it was about Easter time last year.
So a year?
That's about a year. I've used it through, most of it's in the north of England, into Scotland and like the Lake District, through winter, summer, spring, autumn. I've used it down to -6. I didn't mean to, I thought it was going to be warmer than that. I've used it up to British summertime, so kind of like evenings of maybe 18 degrees. I've used it, fortunately I've never actually been in very bad conditions with it. I've had heavy rain and I've had maybe like 20 or 30 mile an hour winds. I've not had any really serious storms, so I can't put my experience on that. And it's all been for kind of shorter haul bike packing trips. So solo things where I'll just go off for like 2, 3, 4 days up into the hills. Looking at the technical aspects of the tent, I'll give you the Vango spiel to tell you what they say on the tin. After many years of research and development by the Vango Project Hydrogen team, the F10 Hydrogen Air is the world's lightest twin skin tent with air beam technology, which is the tent instead of tent poles, the air beam. The stable structure is easy to inflate with a small bike pump, great for lightweight hiking or bike packing trips. The highly compressible structure packs away easily into small rucksacks and bike pannier bags. So 7 denier is really quite thin. That's a lot thinner than standard tents, and also quite a lot thinner than other lightweight kind of things from like tarp tent or other like competitors. It is really thin, so you do have to be quite cautious with it. Like you can feel, I'm never cautious with camping gear. I always use it really hard. I've not had any issues, but it is very, very thin. Definitely worth, if you're going to be taking this on long haul trips, getting the ground sheet, which you can get for it. So the actual weight of the tent is 700 grams, but that's 700 grams with their tiny like toothpick tent pegs, which you really will want to change out. So that's, you're adding on maybe like another 50, 75, 100 grams for like good tent pegs. So say 750 grams, which considering the living space is really pretty good. So conveniently, it's all, the inner and the fly can stay together, which means if you're pitching, it's all clipped in together here. If you're pitching in the rain, yeah, it means you're not going to get the inner wet. You can put it up in about 5 minutes once you've got the hang of it, and definitely makes it a lot more convenient. So I'll always start with, so it's got an air beam like I showed you before. This means the best way I've found is to start by blowing this up and then going from there. And the easiest way seems to be blowing it up by mouth and then finishing it off with the Presta, the Schrader valve here, which means it's kind of almost perfect for cycling because it's very likely you're going to have a pump with you. So that's like 10 seconds, and it's up to, I'd say maybe like 80% full. Screw goes on there, and then I'll grab the bike pump. So with the first bit done by mouth, the cap is taken off there, just a standard bike pump. And the more, the tighter this is, the more air that's pumped in, the better a pitch you can get, particularly if it's windy. I found trying to get a really good pitch, and if it's too soft, if I've just blown it up by mouth, it really doesn't hold together too well, or it kind of dips in the middle, which you'll see in a minute. Okay, so I'd say that's what, about a minute of pumping, about 10 seconds of blowing, so it's really not very time consuming at all. And with that on, then we can start to peg it out. So I've added in additional, these are I think MSR storm pegs, a mixture of pegs. These are some of the ones that originally came with it. You had a few of these, and then the rest were really small needle pins, which are just useless. I found not really worth bothering with. They're in the grass. As soon as it comes off the tent, they're very, very easy to lose. And this is the only kind of pole that you have, which I'll show you what we do with it in just a second. So after quite a lot of trial and error, I found the best and easiest way to get a good pitch is to go with the two side sections across the air beam, and if you try and pull it out too hard, I found that's when it's harder to get a good pitch. If you're spreading the actual beam out too far, that's when it doesn't seem to be so stable. So I found to spread it kind of what seems to naturally be the width it would be at, stake these out, and then if it needs to be tauter after you've done the rest of the pegs, then you can add a bit more width on. So the inner is clipped on here. When you first get it, it's not clipped together, but it takes 2 seconds to do. And then on each corner, the inner and the fly are attached like this together. So one there, on the other corner there, and this is where the pole comes in. This goes underneath this little hood and clips in under there, and then can you just grab me another pole? And then this keeps it nice and taut and upright. So a bit over 5 minutes probably, and it's quite a nice taut pitch. It's quite sturdy. Zip is always quite easy. I've never had any snags really on there. On the bottom you can clip it down here if you want it to want to have some extra ventilation, keep that open but not have it all flapping about. There's also another section to attach with this guy onto the top of the inner. It clips on there, and as you can see, I found this a little bit temperamental. Sometimes it comes out like that, sometimes I'll put it round twice to make sure it doesn't come out, but obviously if it's windy, it's cold and you've got stubby fingers and things, that's a bit of a frustration. Under here you can see it connects, this connects through and keeps it taut, that goes inside the tent, and you also have another line which keeps it taut from the inner to the air beam. Opens the full area of the door, so nice and easy to get in. This bit folds up and you can open it here. I've got a tail bag, a big frame bag, a handlebar bag, and it all fits quite comfortably in there. This section, once you're in, is decent enough to cook in. You've got quite a lot of height, and then I'll normally leave my shoes here, and it's got good width for your shoes inside. So inside the tent we've got a large airbed and plenty of room. You've got two little pockets, nice for organising things, and these ropes which can help with the stability, but also you can always hang stuff in it. I am 6'1", and I find the length of it is almost perfect. I kind of my toes are not touching the ceiling at the bottom. My head not really touching the fly. If anything, I think a few inches, like additional inches, would be good. You've got room for your arms out, you can sleep on your side. You can see the living space in the front section is not too bad. So like, I keep my shoes here, you can cook there quite nicely. Your bag's there. Enough room in here if you wanted to keep, like I normally keep my valuables up at the top. Extra layers and stuff down at the bottom, maybe like a Kindle or a phone there. So for the weight, the living space is pretty spot on actually. I'm very happy with that aspect of it.
How have you found it cooking in the porch?
It doesn't have too much height on it, so if I don't like, things like jet boils will come up quite high on it. I use quite a small, like triangular setup, and it's okay for open flames. Like if you're using, I definitely wouldn't use any like a twig burner or and with an alcohol burner, I keep it on like a lower flame just because it's such thin material. I wouldn't want any flames going near it.
How does it hold up in the rain?
Rain is not too bad. I've not been in it in like stormy, real heavy rain, but I've never had any issues coming through. With condensation and things, it's also pretty good because it's so thin. Even though with pretty much every area the tent walls are down to the floor, it still seems to let out enough condensation and moisture, so it doesn't get too clammy either, which is good. No indoor rain or outdoor rain.
What's it like in the wind?
With the guide ropes pitched, it's got the stability is quite good as long as you get a good pitch. So a good pitch, and also making sure that this is taut enough. If you've not blown this up enough, then I find it dips in the middle and then all the stability is gone. You really need to make sure that the air beam is as pumped up as possible, and then the wind stability is actually really good.
How is it deflating the air beam when you pack it away?
That's a good question actually. Right, I'm going to show you the pack down. The pack down is really quick and easy. Also, as you might be able to see, it's warming up. My layers are coming off. I'm starting to sweat because I've still got my thermals on from the camp last night. So I want to get it unpitched and then I can get these thermals off. Oh, and what have I forgotten?
A peg.
No. all the camping gear.
Oh.
So, top tip guys, take your stuff out of your tent. Okay, air beam, unscrews,
Wait.
unscrews, ready. Excited to finish. So best way I've found to pack it up, pack it in, fold it to the length of the thing you're going to fit it into, which is the original bag, and squeeze the air out. And then once you've got it in the right folding width, you can just roll it. The tent materials are so thin that this doesn't really make any additional size to it. Is like a little bit thicker than a 1 litre water bottle. It's about the same size. It makes it for bike packing. It's really easy to fit into different parts of your bike. So like on a tail bag, fits in real nicely. So with a 7 litre tail bag, I'll get this in there, and then I'll be able to get maybe a roll mat and a pillow, or my like booties or some extra clothes or something. It fits really easily in a frame bag. On a fork bag, it attaches perfectly. So it's like prime size to fit onto your bike, which is definitely like a really good aspect, really versatile. I think with all things with bike packing and backpacking, it's all increasingly just trying to go as lightweight as possible. And I think that's good, because obviously the lighter you go, the more enjoyable the cycling normally is. A lot more comfortable, but it's less strain on the bike. The issue is that it means the costs of everything are going up because there's all this new technology, and a lot of the time you sacrifice quality and durability over weight. If you're paying £500 for a lightweight tent, it's no good if it's just going to last a few seasons. So is it going to last? That was my big question. And after a year, it's holding strong. There's no real signs of wear, and I would say overall I have been very impressed with the tent. I have been more impressed with it since I've got the pitching down and can really get a firm pitch, and now I feel very comfortable taking it in worse conditions. I think for £500, is it worth the money? Like, it's a big investment. I think when you compare it to a tarp and a bivvy setup, which is going to cost more than that, and you're still like very in the elements, this you have some privacy, you've got good living space, you have much better weather protection than you would from any tarp and bivvy. Also, there's lots of lightweight shelters where, you know, like things like tarp tents where you need poles to pitch it up, which for us like cyclists is not very practical. This, I think, is a perfect alternative, and a really good alternative. I think if you have £500 to spend on a tent and you are looking for a tent where weight and size is a priority, that you're going to be using in okay conditions, not like winters, and you're not going to be using it on long haul trips, I think this is a really solid choice. All right, so that's a wrap on the tent review. I hope it's given you a bit of knowledge about the tent. See, it's can be quite hard to get like an honest opinion on things. That's my honest perspective after a year of using. So I hope if you're looking at this tent, it's given you a bit of a hand. We're off on like a massive bike adventure, so if you like bike-based things, then consider subscribing to the channel. And a huge big thank you actually to my camera lady. So yeah, this is our channel. We are shortly about to be going on a UK to somewhere past India bike tour. We've tried to do it before, COVID put that to brought us back home, so now we're trying again. We'll be taking you along for the journey. Sarah is a culinary goddess who is really good with her camping cooking, so we're going to be doing some of that.
And Jay is our gear guru.
And I'll be taking you through the gear that we're using and packing lists and gear reviews and stuff. So yeah, if you like those kind of things, then hit the subscribe button, and we'll catch you next time.